Okay, so we've got Jackie Hughes here. She's a blue belt training out of
MATLAB.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
So,
MATLAB Grappling Academy.
yeah, and that's in SA.
Yep.
Adelaide?
Yep. In Clemsig.
Beautiful. So how long have you been training?
Not that long.
Not that long?
No. I started grappling. I'm coming up to my 3 years, I think. And the only reason why I started was that I was going to transition from Muay Thai to MMA.
Yeah.
And Nick, my then partner, but now husband, he was like, you have to learn some sort of grappling. So I kind of started learning on the cage more so than actual jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Went through that process. We had COVID. We had all those things that happened to everyone.
Shit.
And then when we came back, I think I had one more Muay Thai fight, and Nick decided that he wanted to step away from the MMA scene and open up MATLAB. So we did that a couple of years ago.
Yes, how long has MATLAB been?
Not quite 2 years.
Not quite 2 years.
No, it'll be 2 years in April coming up in 2024.
What's it been like?
Amazing.
Obviously being Colin and Regime and...
Don't know what's happening half the time. I'm the computer person, like, you know, memberships and stuff, and he's like everything else that is a part of it. So as a team, I think it works well.
Yeah, you need both.
Yeah, and because I'm a sucky blue belt, and he's a really good black
He's
belt.
definitely not a sucky blue belt.
So like, the team, it works, and I trust Nick 100% with the content that we deliver at MATLAB. So
well, to prove that you're not a sucky blue belt, you've got a super fight coming up in jiu-jitsu. Sucky blue belts don't get those. So.
No, but they do get combat jiu-jitsu
yes.
super fights. So yes, looking forward to that. It hasn't been announced yet, which is fine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's cool. But it will be on Fusion, and Nick will also be on the show. So we're going to go over it.
We'll release this once that's been...
No, it's all good. Contracts have been signed. It's all going to be out. Yeah.
Okay, so that's all set to go?
All set to
How's
go.
the training changed compared to just regular jiu-jitsu? Because you've competed at nationals and you've done some big tournaments and stuff like that.
Big hands.
Yeah. How does the training differ with obviously the element of the strikes coming in?
I haven't been slapped in the face yet. I really want some of my teammates to give me just a big wake-up call slap. You know, like, I think, you know, coming from a striking background, I understand the element of danger when you're getting punched in the face. This is open palm striking. I think it's more dangerous, like bare hand, open palm. I think there's an element of
I think without gloves you can hit with disregard with an open palm.
100%.
You're not going to smash. You're going to break your hand. Obviously in MMA you can hit. People still break their hands with the gloves on. But if it was bare knuckle, you wouldn't see anywhere near the type of striking that's going on. But it's not really going to be slaps, it's going to be palm strikes. And that's people hear slap jiu-jitsu and they think, like, what's that going to do?
Yeah.
Getting palm struck in the face or in the nose, the eye, and the lips, teeth, it's not going to...
So a lot of the understanding of, like, my game plan, which we haven't quite developed yet.
Yeah, you don't, and by no means, do not leak any... I was going to ask you what your favourite technique is shortly, but if I don't want you to leak any secret information, like, it might be...
I think, like, with any, like, you understand your best positions, you understand your best submissions. When there's an element of danger, like with striking, I think you've just got to understand when it's the right time to strike and when it's not. So
your striking's got to complement your jiu-jitsu, not your striking and then doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, you know, if you understand that, for me, I want to strike to either better my position, to manipulate the position and their movement, or to do damage. So there are certain positions that I would like to be in to strike for damage, and there's certainly elements where I'd like to use it for a reaction.
We do lots of training with open palm stuff.
I've heard this. I need to get down there.
Lots of people, they just, second it comes in, they just get slap happy. And a lot of people they'll actually hurt themselves with their striking. They'll break their own posture, they'll cross their arms up, they'll do things they ordinarily would not do because the opportunity to slap someone in the face is...
But you've got to think about why you're slapping the person.
You've got to think why, right? And I think that's a super important thing, and it sounds like you've got that dialed in already.
Tactical slaps.
Which is good. Tactical. Yeah, get to a dominant position, slap them up a bit, get them moving, open some stuff up. And
I'm hoping to get at least 3 strikes in.
I reckon
3 good strikes, you know.
A couple more.
Maybe. But I don't want to, like, get too slap happy, like you said.
Yeah. Coming out of just combat jiu-jitsu, what is What's your favourite technique? So I like to ask people this. Favourite could very well be one that is your favourite that you hit never, or it could be your favourite technique is your most useful one that you use all the time. If you had to say what your favourite technique is, what do you think that would be?
At the moment,
It'd be standing on the ground, obviously.
Yeah, like...
So you've got a good wrestling game, which takedown could very well be.
I don't know, like I'm still trying to hit that double leg on the 90 kilo blokes at my gym.
I can't hit the double leg on the 90 kilo blokes.
I can't either, that's what I found out. I'd love to, like that would probably be a double leg blast would be my number one, that's what I want all the time. But obviously the reality of the situation is,
something satisfying about like clearing their feet off the ground and
get that little air time, just take both of their legs out, you know, snapshot right in middleware. Like we have a really good picture of a guy at our gym, Taylor. He was winning the match at States. He didn't need to do anything else. There was like 15-second left. He just like double leg blasts a dude, and it's like the best thing ever. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Never hit it. I'll never hit it. Don't worry.
You might see a fusion.
Probably not. No.
What do you think? You said jiu-jitsu, you've only been for a short amount of time. Not only just jiu-jitsu, but martial arts in general, but maybe more specifically jiu-jitsu. What do you think the best thing about jiu-jitsu is that you found in your time? Obviously, you've got a very different experience to most people who have been training for 3 years. You're coming over academy. You're competing a lot already. You're doing combat jiu-jitsu. Like these are things that most people haven't competed. A lot of time they're 3 years in. So, what do you think? All encompassing competition, all that type of stuff. What do you think the best thing about the jiu-jitsu journey has been so far? If you can sum it down to one thing.
For me, personally, I don't know if it is because you are a business owner or you know the type of kind of attitude that you bring to your training, but I personally like seeing other people progress. So that is like one of the big things for me, especially since we have opened up the academy. We did our first beginners course last year, and like we had quite a bit of retention from that, and just seeing the guys last week get their first stripe on their white belt, and you know just understanding that they came from nothing, as we all do.
Some of those guys and girls believe they'll never get it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know there's people at my gym they the perception on the inside is so much different to what coaches owners see on the outside, and very hard. It's very easy to get down, and the progression is slow, and everyone's progressing at the same amount of time. So if you can help someone have that little moment of like, maybe I can learn something, or maybe I can achieve something, or maybe I can do something that otherwise seemed extremely challenging or super intimidating. That is super valuable. And you might have had the same experience, but I get a kick out of cornering people to victories probably more so than winning myself. I always kind of just felt relieved because of the amount of like stress like I used to put on myself. But seeing other people achieve something and maybe having a hand in that or helping in small ways, definitely I think, like, super rewarding. For me being like one of the only females in the training pool and stuff, I find it interesting now that I'm at this point where people are asking me about certain things, and it's quite confusing for me because I'm like, no, I'm still the pleb. I'm still the pleb, and like Nick is like, you're not the pleb. You've got to be in a position. Very self-deprecating, but I think everyone can learn something from everybody. 100%. That's the thing that people need to remember, especially coaches need to remember that as well, because I started coaching at blue belt, and there was a lot of imposter syndrome almost, where you're like, should I be doing this? And you have to trust that Nick's put his faith in you. He knows what he's looking at. He knows that you'll do a good job. So then you kind of just have to trust that people above me who know more than me have decided this would be good. And that's what's going to be happening. I try not to think about like, you know, I think being a no-gi only academy, you're not walking around with your belt. You're not walking around and you do kind of, you don't forget who's really great in the gym, and you don't, but sometimes you kind of forget that this guy's like a white belt, or like, you know, because they're so close to their blue belt, you know, they're on the cusp. The spectrum of a white belt is huge. It's ridiculous. It's one of the hardest belts, from day one to a 4-stripe white belt that's primed ready for his blue belt. The difference between those two people is probably it's a probably bigger spectrum than any of the other belts. 100. You're going from absolutely nothing, zero, anything,
and you have to build something to like a 4-stripe white belt. And you know, you've got people from all different like body types, fitness levels, understanding of like actual martial arts, being comfortable with being that close to people. There are so many factors to get you to that.
That's a really good point. That's something I forget all the time because I'm coaching a lot, and I could grab a person off the street and bring them to the academy and just start moving around with them.
Yep.
It's very easy for me to forget, and maybe some other coaches, that that's not the default setting for a lot of people. A lot of people 100%. Aren't used to being even this close to another person. And just remembering that, okay, just because this is my everyday experience, it's not their everyday experience. And something as simple as getting into the closed guard or getting into mount or grabbing someone's foot or shaking someone's hand, looking them in the eye for something is super intimidating.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's very important to, like you mentioned, that's a factor that we definitely have to consider as well.
Yeah.
What do you think we spoke about what the best part about the journey has been. What do you think the hardest part? That doesn't have to be a negative thing, obviously. Some hard things can be super positive, but what have you found? Obviously it's going to be different for you again because you're part of an ownership of a gym. You're going to be having a whole set of unique challenges. But again, in general, what do you think the hardest part of your journey's been so far?
I think for me personally, coming from like competitions, having various levels of success, and like coming into blue belt, going against these amazing like high level blue belts who are on the cusp of their purple belt, and that, I think I wouldn't say it's imposter syndrome because I understood like the reality of moving from a white belt to a blue belt and stuff like that. But for me, it's like, I think you always want to be better, like right now or yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, and when it's like I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Especially if you're competitive.
100%, and like, you know, there are always going to be things that I don't understand, like anyone else. I don't get straight away and stuff like that, and it becomes like that little thing in the back of your head that it kind of like gnaws at me a little bit.
For sure.
And so I think the most hardest part for me at the moment with my jiu-jitsu is being okay with not having it all. You know,
that's the thing with jiu-jitsu is like the biggest lie I think in jiu-jitsu that existed is like there's no ego. There's so much ego, and it's completely fine. It's whether you let that ego become toxic and negative.
100%.
So I know people who have got huge egos that are super positive people. They're just super confident in themselves and their ability, and they're really good members of the team. And I've met people who are sociopathic like ego, and it's like everything's about me and everything needs to be done this way and that, and they can be cancerous to a team. So I think like you said, everyone will struggle with that, maybe even more so because you're trying to compete at a high level, you're trying to run a gym at a high level as well, and if you're a slightly competitive person, second, third, fourth isn't ever going to be.
I love second. I love second. It just
good
means that
motivation,
like,
I suppose.
Like this year, definitely, like, you know, getting second at Pans, getting second at National.
And what belt did you do that at?
Blue. Yeah, it was my first blue belt year.
So how long were you a blue belt at the time?
I've only just ticked over my first year, so definitely within.
So medaling silver at Pans is.
Oh yeah, I was like stoked, man.
That's an amazing achievement.
And you know what? It does kind of clarify for me that I'm exactly where I need to be. Like some people would be like, oh, but you know, oh, you should be looking at your next belt. You should be looking at this and that, which I've had. But like for me, I think that I'm exactly where I needed to be in that moment. Exactly where I needed to grow, and
everyone will have an opinion on your journey and how it should look and what you should be doing. But at the end of the day, the people that know best are yourself, your coaches, your friends and family, people that are closest to you, and everything else is just kind of they're just opinions.
It's white noise.
And a lot of people probably do mean the best with, or they're trying to be complimentary and stuff like that. But I think you know what you need best, and your partner Nick, who's also your coach, knows exactly what you need. And it's important to have multiple sources telling you what you need, so it's not just your own little echo chamber of like, I need this because this is important to me.
And I think it's a way and it also keeps you quite humble and grounded. Like, you know, if you always walk around thinking that you're the best, you are the best and all of that, your ego is going to start to switch from a positive, humble, you know, team player type of thing to a very like individualized pedestal type of ego. I think that like just having the guys roll with me in the gym, and understanding like, you know, I have 3 stripes on my blue belt now, but that's the level. You know what I mean? Like these guys 100%. Are getting their first stripe on their white belt, and they're like, oh, looking at like, you know, this guy who's got 2, this guy who's got 3, and then they look at the next belt, and then they kind of go, oh, okay, so Jackie's like 3 stripes. It's like, you know, they start to really understand the gap. Yeah. That kind of like necessity to huge be in a learning position. Yeah. And not to be can I say dick? Yeah, I'll say dick, that's fine. Not to be a dick as well, because I honestly believe like you come into an academy and you have that like stinky kind of attitude, you know, it will only take you so far. Yeah, and as an owner, you don't want that. Oh no, we don't want like, no, not at all. And I always, we're talking about adults here, but when I teach kids, the thing I always tell the kids, if like they're chatting while technique's going on or whatever, it's like, I'm more than happy if you want to be distracted. Like if you don't want to pay attention, that's completely your choice. But I don't want you involving other students. Yeah, exactly. So if you're sitting next to little Timmy, it's always little Timmy. It's always little Timmy that gets it. Little Timmy's always competent. If you're there, you can look at the ceiling, pick your toes, whatever you want to do, right? But I don't want you chatting to little Timmy, right? Or I don't want you bothering little Timmy while he's trying to learn, because now it's his time, it's his parents' money and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a great attitude. But letting people be in control of their own learning, but also having those. We're about to do kids' classes at the Mat Lab, so I'm trying to like mildly scared. To be honest, they're easier to teach than adults. I honestly, that's not an offense to the adults, but we've been training, right? So we know jiu-jitsu's hard. We know it's technical, it's challenging in so many aspects. When a kid doesn't get it, you're like, well, of course, how are you supposed to get this? Yeah, like, exactly. And there's something with kids, like the purity of like, they're either all in or they're all out. There's generally nothing in between, so they're either fighting for blood or they're laying there like a log. And trying to bring the coolest part, and you'll find this, I dare say, is getting a super meat kid, and then in 2, 3, 4 weeks or a month later, you see them trying to take a kid down, they're biting down their mouthpiece, and there's like grit, and they're actually at the mouth, and, really and it's like they came in super shy, self-soothing behaviours, picking their fingers, like really you can tell super shy, and now they're willing to grab a person and not only try and put them on the ground, but try and do it with some, just hitting those double leg blasts. Timmy's double leg blasting all of the kids now. We got a young kid, and he super shy, super sweet kid, and then the other day, like, he's shooting a double leg and his pants are falling down, he's biting down his mouth guard, he's clenching his teeth and he's trying to take the person down. He got sprawled on and squished. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point was, he'd gone from super polite, super meek, I'm not going to speak or do anything, to confidence, real good I'm in the moment, I'm doing this and I'm moving people. So when you start teaching kids, you'll love it, I would imagine. Yeah. It's super rewarding. Yeah. That's really cool. Maybe. I didn't know that you guys were going to start teaching kids. That's heaps of kids need jiu-jitsu, they need it more than adults, I would say. I don't know what your schooling experience like, but schools can be brutal. I wasn't bullied, but I saw kids get when I was growing up, when I was growing up, I was one of 2 Asians in my whole primary school. The other one was my brother. That'll do it. Target. Big. That's why you're in striking. No. I never got picked on, it was alright. It wasn't too bad. But like, the resilience from the bullying definitely helped. But I think now, like, bullying in schools and things like that, it's just a different level than what it was when we were like, we didn't have like social media and like, well, it ends with, it used to end when you walked out the door, right? It didn't follow you home or anything like that, and now it's just you're surrounded by it. It's not just 24/7, it's the type. There's photos, video, people can film you, people can film you getting bullied at school, and it goes viral, and now it's not just you're embarrassed in front of your class, you're now embarrassed in front of millions of people on TikTok or Snapchat or whatever it is. So. And I think kids now, like, you know, they do need something like an avenue to kind of express themselves and to find out who they really are. And I think something like jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general will always kind of bring something to a child who, you know, they have to listen, they have to pay attention, they have to learn something, then they have to deliver it, you know, whether they feel kind of comfortable or not. And I think, like, for me, myself and like the other coaches who are going to be taking the classes, like, we're taking that into account in terms of like the games that we're developing, the techniques that we want to give to the students, and how we're going to go about it in general. That's super important. If you sit a kid down and you're like, okay, we're going over a half guard get up now, and bro, Nick says that to me all the time, and I'm like,
boring. You know what I mean? They're not gonna digest it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff, the seminar with Kit, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that type of stuff would be amazing. For
and that's
kids.
the road that we're gonna go down.
Because adults don't get the context of jiu-jitsu. How's a kid
I know.
supposed to understand that by talking the knee out allows them not to stop and grab your head from the underhook and so
teach them all lockdown.
It'll blow each other's knees out.
Blow each other's knees out. Get it out of the way. You don't need your MCLs. It's fine.
Teach it early so when it happens as an adult, they're not super sad.
Yeah. You'll have bendy legs without the ligaments.
But so what do you? Well, to wrap it up, what do you think the most valuable part? Obviously, the best part might not be the most valuable part. For you as a person, or maybe even for, you can choose whether it's for your gym, for your relationship, or for you as a person. What do you think the most valuable part of jiu-jitsu specifically has been for you? Because there's obviously lots of valuable parts of learning to strike, both mentally and physically is really good for you. But jiu-jitsu wise, what do you think after your 3 years with all the diverse looks you've got? Like, you've had so many different looks at it. You've been a student, you've been an owner, you've been a hobbyist, a competitor. Now you're getting into like a hybrid of jiu-jitsu and striking. So what do you think is the most valuable part for you?
I think learning, what I see or how I feel about jiu-jitsu is learning how to be a teammate.
Yeah.
And I think,
so interesting for a solo sport.
Solo, right? 100%. And like, I think I get it. Like, if you're like the best in the world and stuff like that, but without your teammates, like really, who are you? If you have no one to practice on, like if you're the guy that goes in and injures like 10 of your teammates,
you're gonna
you've got that's 10 teammates that are no longer going to be training with you.
You don't get good at jiu-jitsu, and my coach Matt, he always says that you don't get good at jiu-jitsu on your own.
100%.
You need your teammates, and like you said, the competitors, they need hobbyists.
100%.
Right? They're the people that make you the competitor that you are.
Yeah, 100%.
They make the gym go around and it rotate through. But like you were saying, that's a really good point. Is there any other ways you, like, I'm not just obviously not being a psychopath to your training partners, but even be willing to train with them for tournaments or give them a body, like you might not be feeling like doing shit that day.
Yeah, 100%.
But your teammate's got a tournament coming up.
He can't learn, he's like not passing, he's not getting it, like you just like laying on your back pretty much and allowing him to go through a specific technique, openly sharing what you know. Like 100%. I just don't think that there are many secrets in anything anymore.
There's not many left.
There's, you can call it whatever it is, it's the same technique, just maybe done a little bit differently or
there's a couple of little differences,
tweaks here and there. I think that like just having that kind of openness to sharing, being a really good teammate, making sure that you're like training accordingly to your teammate. I'm a very small person. I'm usually one of the only females. The guys like won't go easy on me, but also the 100-kilo dudes are not doing 100-kilo jiu-jitsu on me as well.
Scarf hold.
Exactly.
They're giving
no, they'll do that, but like they won't go 100%.
They won't go 100% with the scarf. Yeah.
And I think like Nick always has a saying like you show up for them and they'll always show up for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's true regardless if it's striking or jiu-jitsu or any martial art or any team sport. It is a individual sport if you are competing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like in terms of your training, in terms of your learning and progression, it's always a team environment.
Well, the sport is individual, but the training is a team
exactly.
aspect, right? So you might be individual for that 1% of your jiu-jitsu journey where you're on a competitive mat.
Yeah.
For that other 99%,
you're relying on other people.
You're relying on other people.
100%.
I guess that's the nice part about it. Is a lot of people would come to the gym for some people might even just come for the social aspect of just being they get to leave what might have been a negative space and enter a positive space just for an hour and a half.
And they get armbarred by the small child.
Get treated
on the
like
mats.
Shit by your peers,
and then they walk out and be happy.
Somehow you're happy with that. Yeah.
It's confusing jiu-jitsu.
It was nice chatting to you.
Thanks, man.
The first female we've had on the podcast. Jackie also works in the company as well, so you might see her
bugging you on the emails.
Bugging you on the emails. If you do not reply,
I'll bug you again.
She'll bug you again, and maybe even blast W.
Probably not.
Yeah. And if you're interested to see Jackie compete, check out the Fusion Grappling Instagram, Facebook pages. They'll be able to find the details there for all of
we'll announce it soon.
Your cool stuff going on.
Yeah, cool, man.
Thanks, Jackie. That was great.
Thanks, man.
Well done.
Thanks.